everyone. My name is Righteous Rawb, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Scott Pilgrim Takes Off and a little slight rant of how I felt of the latter half of the season finale. So let me just say that I enjoyed this series. I think it is a great. No, I'm not going to say great. Let me pull it back a bit. It is a really good companion piece to the movie. I really enjoyed what I saw, what I experienced, and what was shown. There are some things that I'm struggling to say that I enjoyed, that I really didn't enjoy, but for the most part, I enjoyed most of it. The parts that I'm struggling with mostly happen in the latter half of the season finale, and it's mostly to do with the even older Scott. I could rant about that for 3 hours, but I'm going to try to squeeze it in a short time span and explain my feelings and my thoughts to you all. But before I get into that, let me just say that I'm really, really glad that everyone came back, And I always thought, I think after I saw Fargo season 3 and seeing Aubrey Plaza and all these, cool indie films, I would think to myself, man, I want to see these gals back, as well as the other people like Chris Evans, Brandon Routh. I wanted to see all of them back in a 10-year anniversary thing. We kind of got that in that table read, but not all of them was there. Brie Larson was missing, Kieran Culkin was missing. But I was like, damn, it's not. I would have accepted it, but it's not everyone, And then the announcement of the anime was announced. I was like, yes, but not just that. It's everyone's coming back. That is so good. It is over 10 years, it was perfect, And it looks very similar to the comic, but more anime-ish. I'm really hyped that Aubrey Plaza got more to do this time around with her character, and it felt genuinely interesting with her and her oh, this is gonna be spoilers, by the way. If you haven't seen it, you need to go see it now. If you have not seen Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, I highly think it is very important you see the movie first and then see this show. See the movie first, then see the show. See the movie first, then see the show. That is non-stop. That is what you should totally do. But yeah, Julie Powers, Aubrey Plaza's character, she ends up with Gideon, or his real name is Gordon Goose, and I thought that was very unique. That was very different from what I was expecting. The whole show was different. After the first episode is different from what I was expecting, and I would have been more than happy than to take a shot-for-shot remake of the movie, but in animated form. But having it swerve in this direction, I automatically see it as a sequel, like Days of Future Past, how it is to X-Men First Class and X-Men 2000. I'm showing geekiness a little bit, but yeah, I just see it as people say it's an Elseworld or a remake or reimagining, but I straight up see it as a sequel. The first one happened, Scott got older and he went back in time and changed things, and the events of what happened in the movie happened in this series in a way, and they just go on a different path differently. I really want a season 2. But anyway, yeah, Aubrey Plaza, she was great. Her and Gideon, that was good. I really enjoyed the interactions within the League of Evil X's. I like seeing them talk to each other, interact with each other. I always low-key wanted to see that, but I didn't know I wanted to see it until it happened. Does that make sense? I think when I saw the first film at first, the first film, my bad, I'm getting a little sleepy. When I saw the first film the first few times, I started to think man, I wonder what those interactions would be like, and we get it here, not in live action, but the voices are still the same actors, and it's like it's good enough, it's close enough for me. Like Todd interacting with Luke, I've always wanted to see that, and that was really cool. And then them having Matthew Patel and Gideon go back and forth, that was great. It was just seeing the league talk to each other, that was just really, really cool. I really appreciated that. I love the creative music choices, the action, the colors. It's very great. It's very great. The visuals are great. The story, I would say, is good. Still some problems, but I don't want to say problems. I think it's just my problems that I have with it. I don't want to make it seem like this is like a pure, non-argumentative, like no argument. This is the real problem with this show. I don't want to make it seem like that. It's just my problem. It's just my personal gripe with it. And I'll just get to it. I'll just get right to it. I feel like even older Scott was wronged. He had like a rough patch apparently with older Ramona. He thought it was a genuine breakup and she just wanted space, but there was no communication from either of them. What I don't like is the fact that she came back in like the third act during that big fight scene to stop even older Scott from, I think he was about to beat up, or he was about to do something to our Scott. But anyway, she intervenes. The moment I think Ramona says, "Do I just leave you? Should we just break up so you don't turn into that?" The moment even older Ramona interrupts even older Scott. Or I think it's just older Ramona that interrupts even older Scott. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I don't like that she kind of got on his case a little bit, that they didn't talk for 10 years. They didn't talk for 10 years, but she left, and she was mad at him because he didn't text her or anything. But she was the one that left, and he was supposed to know. He was supposed to text her back, and he was labeled, how I view it, he was labeled as the bad guy for not doing that. But he wasn't a mind reader. He didn't know that was going on. And obviously, knowing her situations before, he fought for her before, and he gave her space. But she was like, you're supposed to fight for me. That really, and what made it a little worse for me, and this is just my opinion, there was a moment where our Ramona, young Ramona, was having an introspective moment, and she was having like a eureka moment, thinking about all the exes she left after even older Scott said, "Go ahead, run away from the person you love." And then she had this moment where she's getting a flashback of all the people that she left and treated like dirt and cheated on and just, abandoned or whatever. And in that moment, she says, "I choose you," to her older self. And that's kind of another thing where I'm struggling, because I feel like she already chose herself by leaving those people early, I think the opposite of, it just like the messaging there that was telegraphed just felt opposite. Like, I choose you. You've already chosen yourself. It would have made more sense, at least, if she said, thinking about all the people she left and abandoned, and she said, "I choose you, Scott Pilgrim." And then, "I choose you too," to her older self. But her going straight to her older self, it just, at that moment, to me, it felt like, okay, you're just going to break up. Because, throughout that final fight, she's like, should I just leave him? Should I just leave him? Should I just leave him? And even the older Ramona said, would that even be a surprise? And then she has that, flashback moment. But that moment would to me leads into like, okay, you should choose Scott and not me. And then they fuse, and then she says like, the person that met him and the person that left him were one and the same. It's beautiful. Beautiful. And then she tries to kiss Scott, and I'm like, huh? I guess because young Ramona still loves Scott and older Ramona doesn't, but they fused and they try to kiss him anyway. It's very jarring. It's like the messaging seems super mixed up. Maybe it's trying to be super nuanced, and like my pride as a man is being toxic because I'm not fully jiving with this message, and I really want to, but it comes across to me like, and maybe I'm looking way too deep into this, but it comes across to me that the man in the relationship, no matter if he's in the right or in the wrong, he should always try to fight for the woman he supposedly loves, because he just should, because he's the man. And if he doesn't, then he's the one that's missing out, and that he's the one that's bad. The woman can never ever reach out. The man always has to do everything to reach out if there's a fight, a disagreement, a rough patch. And you know, when I saw the first Scott Pilgrim movie, I was like, I like the references, but this just seems like white people problems. You know. And then when I got into my 20s and later in my 20s, you know, I was basically Scott Pilgrim, you know, bound to relationship and learning a lot of things from them as well. And now I'm older now, and I feel like I'm a combination of Kim and Matthew Patel. The Scott Pilgrim takes off Matthew Patel. That version where, you know, you don't really care, you just about, you know, exes, you just care about your craft. You're just trying to do your own thing. That's how I feel. I feel like I'm Kim and Matthew Patel right now. And my older brain seeing this, I wonder how, if this would have came out a lot sooner, like if this would have came out the year after the movie and I saw this show with my 20-year-old brain, I wonder how I would take it. But me, you know, having been in relationships, and you know, where there's arguments, disagreements, impasses, shortcomings, you know, stuff like that, you know, understanding like the reality of like, you know, someone who you can love and you can care for, but sometimes, you know, people are just not meant to be or whatever, or sometimes, you know, someone will be manipulative, or they'll cheat, or they'll do something bad, stuff like that a lot of young people don't really think about in the moment, because they just think about love. And I saw that and I'm like, damn, because I've kind of been in situations like that where it's like, you know, you have a fight and then you guys won't talk to each other for a bit, you know, but you know, depending on the situation, you know, one of the two, or even sometimes two of the two, will come together and say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, you know, I was just, you know, I love you, baby, and then they, you know, make up. But for the 10-year thing, you know, she left and didn't reach out at all and expects him to do it. But that's pride, you know, the pride of men and women, where, you know, I don't want to look weak, and maybe that's the messaging. But the thing is, like, if they made that message towards both of them directly, I would have liked it. But it just put the blame all on Scott. Now, don't get me wrong, young Scott, he's kind of a dickhead, and older Scott is like, he's trying to like go back in time and beat up all these people, but he's only going back in time to spare himself the heartbreak, you know. If Ramona broke up with him in the first place, I mean, he wasn't for her. So he just wants, like, okay, I'm sorry I ever met you. I'm just gonna do us both a favor and just make sure we never meet, so that way I won't feel this pain and you won't have to meet me. But then she comes and intervenes and tries to. It's a lot, and I'm probably not making any sense. but I hope someone out there gets what I'm trying to say. I really want a season 2 to really square away this unreconciled feeling I have, because I wanna like it. I wanna love this show, but it's just that one part, and it's not like an objective problem. It's like a personal thing with me, you know. But anyway, that was a long ramble. I told you I could talk about it for like 3 hours, so I'm trying to like condense it. And there's a lot more I could say. I just don't like. My point is, I like the show. I think it's a great companion piece to the movie. I give it a 4 out of 5. I just don't like that. I don't like the older Scott. Even older Scott feels wronged. He was wrong to me. I don't like that, and I don't like how the onus of reaching out was exclusively on him. When if she said something like, I tried to contact you, but you blocked me, and I'm like, okay, I would be on your side. I'd be on her side. But it was like 10 years pass, and you leave him. It was a rough patch, but nothing was communicated, and you guys just didn't talk to each other for 10 years. But Scott was the one that should have reached out. But it's fine if you don't, because you're living your life. I don't know. See, it's something I could talk about for hours. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it here. Watch the movie. No, watch the movie first, then see the show. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate your time. Have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Peace.